Welcome back to Falkirk Figures, where today I'm going to be doing another WWF Hasbro figure unboxing, and this one is going to be looking specifically at this man, Ted DiBiase, and his $1 Million Corporation.
I can have anything I want. I can buy happiness. I can buy love. And if I want to, I can even buy you.
This one has taken some doing and it has almost gotten the better of me. This is one of the first ideas I had when I was doing the WWF Hasbro figure unboxings. I thought, wouldn't it be cool to get a complete faction together and unbox them all as one, have all the figures. And I couldn't think of a better one or a bigger one from the Hasbro era than the $1 Million Corporation. So I tried to get these guys together. I thought it would be easy. I thought it would be fantastic. I thought it would be great. It'd be a really quick turnaround and I get it done. But it's taken me months. It's taken me months to get all these guys together. And not for the reasons you'd think. I mean, there are some figures in this this faction, in this group, that are harder to come by. And I did manage to get everyone. I managed to get everyone I needed. But, oh man, there were some issues. A couple of issues I had. I'll maybe go into them when I get to those wrestlers in particular, but a couple I had, I thought I had the figure, I thought I had it for the video, and then when it arrived, this happened with two of them, this happened with two figures, they were just in such good shape that it turned out I got an amazing deal on a really nice mint on card figure, and I couldn't justify opening them up, and eventually for both of those I sent them off to get grading. One of them I've got back and the other one's still at the grader. So things like that have got in the way of doing this video. But hopefully it's going to be worth the wait. So as you can see, I've got my two Ted DiBiases out on the table at the moment. And we're going to build his $1 Million Corporation around about him. So I suppose the place we need to start really is with the man himself. Because anyone that collects the Hasbro line knows there are 3 Ted DiBiases in the entire line, which is a good effort. I mean, that's a decent effort from Ted, and it shows you just how big a deal he was in the Federation back in the time. Because, you know, if you look at the kind of company he's in, 3 figures in the line, that's Ultimate Warrior, you know, that's Randy Savage, it's Hulk Hogan. I know a couple of these guys got more than that. But, you know, there's not many that got 3 different figures. Crush randomly is one of them. He was in a Demolition, and he had 2 single releases. But no, 3 is a really good effort for anybody from WWF to get in the Hasbro line, and Ted, he got 3, and all fairly different. So first one, this one in his Black Tux Series 1, with his sort of hammer fist, the Demolition Smash move that never really works very well, and then we got $1 Million Stomp, Green Suit Ted, and he's just making his belt fall down. Green Suit Ted in Series 2. And then we had to wait a very, very long time until we got another Ted. And he was completely different from these two. Hopefully that belt stays up on his waist. Completely different from these two. Because he was in his in-ring attire. So this is the third Ted DiBiase that came out, obviously in the purple card series, which I believe is Series 9. I'm sure somebody will correct me if that's right. I think yellow's 7... Red's 8, purple, yeah, purple's 9. So this is a first for Ted DiBiase because he's in his in-ring gear. He's not wearing his entrance, he's not wearing his tuxedo. So pretty cool that you've got an in-ring, you know, wrestling ready Ted DiBiase. But one thing I didn't like about this is the first and only Ted DiBiase that didn't have the $1 Million belt. I thought that's a big part of his character. And something that you really need with any $1 Million Man figure. So disappointed he's not got a belt, but pretty cool that you've got him in his gear, so you can sort of transition him from entrance gear to being match ready to go. So let's get him opened up first of all. There we go. Here's Ted. Here's Ted in his match ensemble. He's really, really stiff joints. Fist is really stiff, and he's got the puncher action, the Jake the Snake puncher action. Don't know that really fits his character, but it's a different one from the other two, so that's pretty good. I didn't realise there was this level of detail. I always thought that this $1 Million Man, I think this is the first one of these that I've actually held in my hand. I didn't realise there was that level of detail on his boots and on his tights like that. I thought it was just plain black. So that's pretty decent. One thing though that is very, very obvious is because they obviously reuse body parts when they re-release figures and make a new series of figures. But this Ted DiBiase is huge compared to the other two. I mean, the other two are more or less exactly the same height. You know, there's Black Suit Ted and Green Suit Ted. They're more or less exactly the same height. But this guy is like, a good couple of centimetres at least, or a centimetre at least taller. And he's kind of hunched over as well, which kind of makes it seem like he is even taller than that. I think this is the Hulk Hogan body. I think that's the shirtless Hulk Hogan body from Series 5, which makes sense because Hulk Hogan is huge. But just putting Ted DiBiase's head in it like that kind of throws things slightly out of proportion when you've got your two tiny Teds there in their suit, and then when he takes the suit off, he hulks up and becomes Monster Ted in the middle. So, yeah, not really sure how I feel about that. I wasn't aware of that until I've taken him out of the box and had them right next to each other. But hey, that's why I do this. Get them out, let them breathe, have a closer look. So there's Ted. So now we've ticked off all the Teds. We can get to his lackeys, to his cronies, to the $1 Million Corporation. So first up, I mean, here's this guy making his third appearance in one of my videos. This is IRS. So as you know, IRS, before the corporation, IRS was $1 Million Man's tag team partner in Money Inc. And I've had him for a while. I took this figure off the card in a previous video, but I've brought him back in to have a chat about him in another video. But yeah, I was really disappointed. The bubble that I took him off was completely yellowed, and so much so that you couldn't see inside, that you couldn't see through the bubble to see if there was any damage to the figure. And when I took him out, man, the damage speaks for itself. You know, his shirt's completely yellow, his arms are a different colour from his face. So he's almost like an unusable member of my loose figure collection. So I had to get another IRS. I've been out looking for a new IRS to get, just generally, because I probably opened this guy up before I had the idea for the corporation. But I've been looking for a new IRS generally. But then when I thought I'll do the corporation video, I needed to get an IRS, and it was so difficult. Everybody, one of these figures that not really that desirable, not one of the kind of rare ones to get your hands on. But the problem is the condition. I mean, because of this guy with his white shirt, anything that's banged up, beat up, it does damage fairly easily in the package. So, you know, just a little bit of fading to the card usually means the figure's faded, which is no good. I need them to be mint loose. So, and then if I was going for like the real nice, the package ones, they were asking silly money. So I did win an IRS on eBay. I got it for about £50. I thought, right, okay, that's slightly more than I like to pay for unboxing a figure, but I need an IRS, so paid for it. And when it came, it was just beautiful. It was immaculate. I wasn't expecting it to be as nice, and I just thought, well, that one's too nice. I can't unbox that. So that got sent off to the graders. Because I thought, when I saw the condition, I thought the price I paid, I've actually got a really good deal. So I'm keeping that one on card. But then I was back to the drawing board for IRS, and again, Facebook to the rescue. And one of the admins in the Legion of Hasbro Facebook group, who I've mentioned before on this channel, Robbie Duncan, just randomly threw up a post the other day and said, anybody want this IRS? It's got a cracked, damaged bubble. He was more or less giving it away. It's got a bit of damage to the card at the top. But the main criteria for this is it's not sun faded. You know, the shirt's perfect. The face matches the arms, and that's all I need. That's all I need for an IRS. So I think he was kind of optimistic. He was like, anyone want to give me a few quid for this one? It's not in the best of shape. I thought he thought nobody was going to take it, but I was on it straight away. I thought that's exactly what I need. So delighted to have him, and here he comes. Get him out of the bubble, and there he is. There is my nice minty white shirt. A little bit, no, it's not a scuff even, it's just like a little bit of dust or something off his arm. Yeah, I mean, if you compare the two, that's just night and day. what has happened to this guy actually? I mean, how did he get like that without even leaving the packet? That's terrible. But anyway, he's redundant now. He's cannon fodder, custom fodder even. This guy though, he is really sharp looking, really bright, really fresh. Got the same move as Green Suit Ted, $1 Million Stomp. And let's face it, not a great figure, not the best figure, but when you're trying to build a faction, trying to get a group of guys together, you need them all. So he's one that I need. I think he gets a kind of bad rap because if you go back and look at the WWF from the 90s now and pay close attention to IRS, he's actually a decent man. He's a decent worker. He always kind of does hold his own in matches, and maybe didn't get the push that he deserved. When you think about, his sons, Bray Wyatt and Bo Dallas. Bo Dallas not so much these days, but Bray Wyatt, he's smashing out the park with the Fiend and Universal Champion and everything. So maybe Mike Rotunda IRS could have been used a bit better than he was when he was, because that's almost just like I don't know, it's not a comedy character because it wasn't comedy, but just a kind of gimmicky character, Anyway, speaking of gimmicky characters, the next guy I've got lined up for the $1 Million Corporation is the guy that was one of the biggest baby faces, one of the biggest good guys in the entire 90s run of the WWF, and it was shocking, absolutely shocking to us 8-year-olds when he turned heel and joined. They sold out to the $1 Million Corporation, and that's this guy, the turncoat Tatanka. So Tatanka, like IRS, this is actually the third Tatanka that I've got. Backstory to him was, the first one I got, there was a real issue with it. I bought it on eBay, and when it arrived, I thought I got it for a reasonable price. I was happy enough with the figure for what I wanted it for, unboxing it. But the guy that sold it to me, he charged me like double the shipping price. And when it arrived and I saw the postage mark and it was like less than half of what he'd actually charged me, I got in touch with him and said, look mate, I'm going to just send me back the overcharged postage. And he refused. He was like, no, that's not how it works. And I was like, no, it is how it works. So like, you charge for postage, that's the cost of posting. And he said, well, I'll give you £2 back. And I went, no, you'll not, mate. That's my money. You've overcharged me by more than double. I want that money back. And he said, well, if you've got a problem, return it. So I did. I thought, right, okay, I'm returning that just out of principle. And then he relisted it and sold it for less than I paid him for it. So, what goes around comes around. But then I got another Tatanka, the different Tatanka actually, because Tatanka was released twice. So he's out in the Purple Card series. His original release was in series, I want to say 5, possibly 6, on the blue and red cards. But then the exact same figure, no paint variants, no modifications, was re-released in the purple series as a replacement for Brutus Beefcake in his Mega Maniacs attire, which was pulled from the line. I don't know why exactly, probably because he left the company. That's usually what happens. But so this was a last minute stand-in to the purple series. So it's the same figure. It doesn't matter whether you get it in the original series or this series. It's the same figure, so there's no difference to them. But yeah, it's just one of those quirks of the Hasbro line that he's in both of these different series, and this is the same figure. But let's get them opened up, have a look. It's tough. Here he is. So Tatanka, he does the Texas Tornado move where you spin it all the way around and he comes back taking everybody out. Go Gadget Arms. And that is the Texas Tornado move. Like, I kind of understood that move when it was Texas Tornado because it was like a tornado. It kind of fitted in with his gimmick. But this is not just a Texas Tornado move, it's a Texas Tornado body as well. He's got the tassels around his boots. He's got the same absolutely shredded Kerry Von Erich body. I mean, Tatanka was never like chubby or anything like that. He always had a decent body, but he wasn't Kerry Von Erich. Kerry Von Erich was absolutely shredded. So it's a bit of a kind of, I don't know, a lazy effort for Tatanka, because he was quite a big guy. He went on a huge undefeated streak, and like I say, it was massive when he turned heel and joined the corporation. It was shocking, because he was such a one of the main good guys in the storyline at the time. So it's a bit of a lazy effort to get him in a completely reused body like that. I mean, the head sculpt's not too bad. I mean, it's got all the features you need with the earrings and the red mohawk and stuff, but I don't think facially it looks too much like him. But yeah, not a great. I think that move is a kind of weird one for me, kind of a frustrating one, because as I say, it fits Kerry Von Erich, the Texas Tornado. It fits in his gimmick and his character, so I like it for him. But I don't really like it for anybody else, and I don't really like it for Tatanka. I think Tatanka, there would have been better. Even a one-armed clothesline, I think, would have been a better one for him. But yeah, this is a body that I see customized a lot of time. People try and make other Hasbros out of or other characters out of this Hasbro body, but I don't think it works because it always has these tassels around the boots, always has these like additional bits around the boots, and you can't hide that. I mean, even if you're painting it all the same colour, it still sticks out. It still looks different. So I don't like it when people try and customize this body. But I can see why, because obviously it's a unique move. There's only the two figures that have it, so you can see why people would want to keep it, but and make other figures out of it. But yeah, so there's Tatanka. Decent addition to the lineup. I'm not entirely sure what I'm going to do with him, because like I say, there are two versions of the same figure. So to be a completist, if you want to get everybody, do you need two of them? Do you need to take one off a purple card and take one off a red and blue card? I don't know. I'm not sure. Probably not. I probably won't. But anyway, so that's we got IRS, got Tatanka. Next up, this is where we're getting to the kind of big hitters. You know, this is the kind of the meaty end of the bone here. So next one I've got is a guy who he kind of went back and forward. For me, he's all day long he's a bad guy. He's textbook bad guy, but he's back and forward. He's been good guy, bad guy. He was like helping out Hulk Hogan at one point, and then he was like the enemy of Hulk Hogan. Obviously, when he was in the corporation, he was a bad guy. But this is the man who rules the world, Sid Justice. Sid Justice. I always forget if he's vicious or justice. He was vicious in WCW. Sid Justice when he came to WWF. But yeah, so this is a cool figure. That's exactly how he should look, I think. The move's right, the look is right, everything's good about Sid Justice. So let's get him cracked open, have a good look at him. Here he is. So, Sid with a power move, the Gorilla Press Slam, the Hulk Hogan #1 Gorilla Press Slam. This is a bit of a head scratcher for me, because this body of this Hasbro, I think, is completely unique. I might be wrong, but I don't think this body is used for any other Hasbro. This upper torso I'm talking about. Because if you compare it to British Bulldog, it's completely different. He's kind of got like a V going on here. He's more kind of defined and square around the pecs and the abs, whereas Davey he's a bit more kind of rounded, a bit more barrel chested, and it was a British Bulldog that was reused for Lex Luger as well, because you can see the kind of the Union Jack on the gauntlets on his wrist for Lex Luger have been painted over. So yeah, I don't know if this body was ever reused. I'd imagine if it was, maybe in Ludwig Borga, but you're not really sure because they've painted a vest on him. So I'm not entirely sure if that was a body used for Ludwig or not. I don't have it. Well, I do have a Ludwig at the moment, but it's mint on card and I'm not happy with it, so I'm going to return it to where I got it from. But yeah, so I don't have one that I can look close at to see. But this, I think, is a much better body sculpt for Sid. I think the British Bulldog body, you can see what, because Bulldog was obviously a massive bodybuilder, massive body guy, as was Luger. So you can see why they recycled that. But this sculpt, I think, is better for Sid. I like that they've got a different sculpt for Sid. Big wide stance, does the power move. I think the legs might have been recycled. I think the legs might be Hogan's. They look like similar to the legs that Hogan #1 had. But yeah, really like this figure. I think the face is almost spot on. I mean, obviously they're not using any real scan technology or anything, but it's a pretty good attempt at Sid's face. Happy with that. Do you know, I actually thought there was a couple of like paint drips, but when I look at it close, it's not. There's like a few hairs that just kind of come loose, which is a really cool detail. I really like that. Sid, awesome, fantastic, great figure. Happy with him. Happy to have him in the collection. I think he was a big part of the corporation. He was obviously like the big enforcer, the big guy. So speaking of big men, speaking of big guys, this is one of the best big men that ever wrestled in the 90s, I think. And one of the big parts of the development and the progression and the storytelling within the $1 Million Corporation, and that is the Beast from the East, Bam Bam Bigelow. So, Bam Bam, unbelievable. I didn't really think I was going to get him. Picked him up on eBay again. Obviously, his card's completely kind of warped and creased and damaged, and at the top you can tell, like over the WWF logo, looks like it's still faded as well. Doesn't look like there's any fade into the figure. I think the figure looks more or less mint. But yeah, this is one that I was delighted when I got my hands on for a reasonable price as well, and I can't wait to get him out of the box. So here he comes. This is the Beast from the East, Bam Bam Bigelow. Man, that is a good figure. He is obviously a reused body, but I don't mind that because he's the same body as Earthquake and Typhoon. But Earthquake and Typhoon, they were in their kind of singlets, their wrestling onesies, whereas he's in this full bodysuit, so it doesn't really look like it's the same sculpt or anything, just because of the paint. He obviously has the unique tattoos, the blue flames on his head. He's got the tattoos on his arms as well, which I believe are actually accurate to real life. And I heard a bit of trivia that he's got his son's name tattooed on his arm here. It's really, really fine print, and I can't quite make out what it says, but I'm sure somebody knows. But he had his son's name tattooed on his arm in real life, and that was the tattoo that they depicted in this Hasbro figure. So that I think is a pretty cool fact. That, you know, if you were Bam Bam Bigelow's son, and your name was forever tattooed on his Hasbro, that's pretty cool, I think. What does that say, man? It's just far too. I don't want to get it. I think it says like Dwayne or something. It's Shane, maybe. It's really, really small, hard to make out. But that's the story behind that. His son's name is tattooed on his arm in real life, and it made it into his Hasbro figure. But this figure, man, I mean, people use the term toyetic, as in like a wrestler, a character that makes a really good toy. This is a definition of that. Look how cool he is. He's got the flames on his head, he's got the flames on his suit, he's got the nice, angry, aggressive look on his face. My memories of this guy are... I've got a cousin who's the same age as me. I've mentioned him before. We grew up playing with Hasbros together. There's weeks between it. Like our birthdays are weeks apart. So we're the same age, almost exactly. And we grew up playing with Hasbros together. And here's a story. He had Bam Bam. He had the red card guys. He had Bam Bam, he had Yoko, and I didn't. And then he all of a sudden, I don't know what age we would have been. I don't know if we would have been 10. Would we have been 10? So, but anyway, he all of a sudden decided that he wasn't going to play with. He was going to like start wearing jeans and wearing aftershave, and toys were too babyish for him. So he was like, "Nah, I'm not going to play with these." And he dropped a great big bag of Hasbros, and I mean like months after they came out. These were not like old beat up guys. These were guys I hadn't managed to get yet for myself. Bam Bam, Yoko. I think there might have been a Mr. Perfect, like a second edition Mr. Perfect. They were the red card guys anyway, not all of them, but most of them from the red card. And he dropped a bag of them off at my grand's house and said that they were for our little cousin, who was like 5 years younger than us. And they were to go to him to play with because he didn't need them anymore. And I was like, whoa, hold on. And I intercepted, because our little cousin anyway, he wasn't into wrestling. They were just men to him. He didn't know who they were or anything. And I was like, no, there's no way that they are going to our cousin. Give me Bam Bam at least. And I took Bam Bam out of the bag. and took them home with me, because, look, why would you not, man? Why would you not? I don't know what my cousin was thinking doing that. I mean, he obviously just thought, I don't know if he'd met a girl or something that week, but he just thought, no, I need to throw baby things away. And he's like, I'm going to give these to our little cousin. No, you're not, pal. No, you're not. So, yeah, that's how I got my Bam Bam when I was growing up. But delighted to have another one, because he is a cool fig, man. He is one of the coolest figs in the whole line. In fact, it'll be interesting to see where he ranks in the Figures 4 podcast and the Hasbro League when they finally get to him. So, obviously, the $1 Million Corporation had more members than this. King Kong Bundy was in the corporation. Kama, the guy that went on to be, is it Charles Wright? The guy that went on to be the Godfather. Kama was in the corporation, but those guys never had Hasbros. They weren't in the Hasbro line because the $1 Million Corporation, I think, was just slightly towards the end of the Hasbro era and kind of overlapped afterwards. So some of the guys that were big players in the corporation never actually got a fig. But one guy that did get a figure from the corporation was this man right here. This is the 1-2-3 Kid. Oh, too high. Sean Waltman, ex-Pac. This is his first and only WWF Hasbro figure. And as you can tell, I've got him in a protector because he is one of my prized possessions. He is one of the most rare Hasbros. He's, I'd say, other than the mail away guys, it's him and Dusty Rhodes are the two that you just cannot get for love or money. And this is a decent one I've got here. So I did think, because these are the types of figures, when you get to this level with the Hasbros, the guys that are really difficult to find, there's not that many of them out there, they're as valuable loose as they are carded, So I did think, well, I just open them up and have a complete $1 Million Corporation. But I, coming back to Robbie Duncan from Legion of Hasbro, I had a chat with him about it, because when I picked up IRS from him, I told him why I needed it, and I said about the kid, and he went, no. He said, no, don't open it. Don't open it for the video, no. And when I was taking them all out of their display places earlier on, I thought, yeah, I don't think I can bring myself. But there are madmen in the world that do it. There are maniacs, and as I've mentioned, Legion of Hasbro, the Facebook group, there was a video that someone uploaded of them unboxing their 1-2-3 Kid on that in that group on Facebook. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to insert that video here just to prove that there are some maniacs that do open up their 1-2-3 Kid Hasbro figures. Yeah, so that was a guy called Phil from Legion of Hasbro cracking open his 1-2-3 Kid. I think the story behind that one was that he actually found some damages in the bubble. I think he found that it was cracked or dented or split or something. And like I say, these guys are as valuable loose as they are carded, and it's particularly when you've got damage to the bubble. So he made that video in the Facebook group just to shock some people. But yeah, I think it was actually a damaged bubble that provoked him into making that move. But anyway, so there is my corporation. Put Sean back at the back here. Like I say, not going to open them. Here is my $1 Million Corporation. Some really, really nice figures in there. Really love Bam Bam. Sid as well. And even, Big Monster Giant Ted at the back. I just do. The more that he's been on the table in front of me, I think, yeah, I quite like him as well. So, great to have these guys loose. As I say, I've been putting them together for months, so they've been on their cards and their bubbles, just taunting me for weeks and months, some of them, about getting them open and getting them in the loose figure collection. But that's it now. They're all breathing now, so they're all going to go up on the shelf, looking nice and minty and fresh. So, that's us. Please remember to subscribe to the channel, hit the notifications, share the video on social media, drop me a like, leave me a comment, stay safe, and we'll speak soon.